I mostly attend hospital births, but I've done about a dozen home births, and they're my absolute favorite. I am planning a home birth for myself.
Yay.
Yeah, and it is a wildly night and day experience. And the irony, I think, is I always say I'm like home births are just so calm and peaceful, and people think that doesn't like are very surprised to hear that because you're like because there's no drugs, there's no epidural. So how can someone who's in the most intense pain of their lives, how can that be more calm than like an epidural sleeping in bed? But in reality, the whole concept of home birth and why it's so powerful is we are just allowing the woman to lead and for her natural process of labor and birth to unfold. And everyone there is just there to hold space and to hold her down, like emotionally, not physically, as
Yeah.
opposed to the hospital where it's there to just like, all right, let's get this over, let's get this in and out, let's get this over with. So
Hmm.
it's very rushed. There's a lot of interruptions in the hospital.
Hmm.
Whereas at home, everyone's just chilling. And
It's
it's
Yeah,
also
so
hanging
like,
out,
sweet.
waiting for it to occur when it occurs organically.
so you
Exactly.
talk about traumatic births, and what does that mean? Like, because I know I immediately think my girlfriend had 5 kids, and at the fifth kid, I went to visit her in the hospital. She was sitting on a block of ice, and her, vagina was exploded, and her varicose veins had finally exploded. And she said, "I'm done. That's it." And I said to her, "You're done, and I am never giving birth." After seeing that, I
We're
was like,
both
"I'm
done.
done." We're
Yeah.
both done. So that's what I think of when you say traumatic birth, but I'm sure you mean something else.
Yeah. Well, there it goes hand in hand for sure. Some people have physical responses and damage to from birth that can be traumatic in itself. But a lot of the trauma that I see, that I witness firsthand, which is also why doula work can be unsustainable and exhausting because we are witnessing this other kind of trauma, which is much more psychological and emotional, where women are feeling taken advantage of and belittled and like their voice is being taken away because there's a huge culture of fear mongering and coercion and of this hierarchy where it's like doctors in charge or really like hospital policy is in charge. Doctor has to follow these protocols
Mm.
or their job is on the line or they're could face liability and lose their license, and all of that is being protected over the patient's autonomy. And that looks like a lot of bulldozing and bullying, um, and oftentimes like doing things without consent. Um,
Mm.
and it's
Under
Like
it's
under the guise
episiotomy.
of, yeah, like, well, just under the guise of we had no
I'm
choice.
keeping yeah, and I'm keeping you and your baby safe. Your baby could die, right? That's like a phrase we hear a lot. If you don't do what I'm telling you to do, your
Right.
baby could die.
Yeah, yes, I did hear that actually. Like they'll say something like the baby's heartbeat is, it's becoming stressed. Um, right. And of course if you're in panic mode, then you're like, I don't want anything happening to my baby.
Hmm.
Give me an episiotomy, do whatever
Do
is
whatever.
convenient.
Did you
Right.
have that, Sophie, an
Yes.
episiotomy? You did.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
why Dave says it's like shaking an arm in a dark
Well,
room.
it probably didn't help. Um, yeah, and that definitely that part of it, I've always been suspicious of, only because, as I said, the doctor came in. There was another birth happening, maybe more than one. I know he was going between multiple rooms,
Doing the
uh,
rounds.
doing the rounds, literally, and it just all seemed to coincide with being told that the baby's heart rate was, getting accelerated or depressed or whatever it was, him being there for such a short time and this episiotomy happening. Like nobody
Yeah.
had suggested that before. When I was with the nurses, they were like, okay, it was all breathing and when to push and when to rest, and
Hmm.
just sort of a little suspicious that those,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he kind
Well,
of walked
and
in
the
and
reason he probably was running from room to room is because he probably induced all of his patients before his vacation. And if you
yeah,
actually
Wow.
look, this is a fascinating fact. If you look at the popularity of birthdays in America, we have a
yeah,
huge spike right before Christmas and Thanksgiving. And that's because we
Sure.
are reducing all of these moms so that doctors can clear their schedules for the holiday.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, you don't need more proof than that we're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
unnecessary inductions.
And